Hey folks, welcome to verifiedinvesting.com. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here. Now in today's video, we're going to deep dive into some of the major signals today that I'm watching as we're getting into the Fed decision, big earnings, and then the Trump and President Xi meeting tomorrow on trade. So again, we're going to look at these. What are the market signals telling us? The first one that's catching my eye here is Nvidia today. Nvidia making a $5 trillion move, meaning market cap is now $5 trillion. But, and this is the kicker, it's actually reversing and putting in a technical topping tail. Topping tails, for those of you that don't know, are bearish reversal signals. Could the 5 trillion pierce be the top on the stock in euphoria? We're going to find out. Let's look at the chart. So here we have it, folks. Take a look at Nvidia, still up about 3% on the day, but is $6 off the highs of the day. Now, a topping tail, folks, is when you have a big push up, but then major volume comes back in and slams price to the point where it closes in the lower 25% of the candle. In addition, it's not just any candle. The candle must be an all-time high or a 52-week high. Needless to say, it's pretty obvious that this is an all-time high on Nvidia. So what are we watching here? Right now, I'm doing this video. It's around noon Eastern time. Today, at the end of the day, I'm watching to see, do we close basically below 208? If we close below 208, it should be a topping tail, which would then dictate a potential major top in the stock right up here. That would then become the level to beat, and you would have a bearish bias unless, I repeat, unless you close on the daily chart above that high at 212.19. All right. So the beauty of what I teach, folks, is that there are defined pattern setups, right? So there are setups you get like a topping tail. And it's like, okay, well, in technical analysis, if you see 100 of these, let's say 75% play out to the downside in the subsequent days, months, weeks, whatever you want to call it. But there are 25% that fail, right? I mean, that's just part of technical analysis. It's probability-based assessments, which means there's no 100%. And the key is when you have something like a topping tail, how do you know if it fails? How do you know to cut it and say, okay, I no longer have that bearish indicator as the dominant force in the chart? And the answer is very simple for topping tails. Like I just showed, any daily close above that high right there, folks, above that high. Okay. And again, I'm just bringing this out here, but essentially any close above 212.19, that gets you a negation of the topping tail. Now, right now, if we were to close the day right where Nvidia is, it would absolutely be a topping tail right now. It would fit that criteria. And remember, topping tails are bearish. Bottoming tails are the inverse of that. They have to occur at 52-week lows or all-time lows. And again, you have to close in the upper 25% with a long tail at the bottom. In the case of a topping tail, it needs that long wick or tail on the top, right? And a close in the lower 25%. So this candle on Nvidia fits to a T. In fact, look, it's selling off as I do this video. It's coming back in. Granted, we have the Fed soon, so that's going to be obviously it could change course. But right now, this is a great fade on Nvidia. Now, literally, again, $6 plus off the highs of the day as it is coming in. Now, another chart I'm watching is this chart. This is the S&P 500 chart. Now, the reason why this one's so important, folks, is that it's long-term, right? So we're looking at the weekly chart of the S&P 500. And on the weekly, we're going all the way back to the COVID lows down here, right? Let's circle it. COVID low and connect that via a trend line to the bear market low of 2022, to the correction in October, November of 2023, to the liberation sell-off lows in 2025. Perfect trend line. They all literally line up perfectly. So you know you have something big there because those aren't just random lows. Those are major pivots on the market. Okay. Now, what we do here is we take that trend line. So I use the parallel tool, but you start with the line and you drag it up to the bull market highs of 2021. So this was before the bear market right there. That was your bull market high. And what we see here is we're piercing this upper zone right here on the chart of the S&P. Now, again, it's piercing. Technically, it's intra-week above. But what I'm curious about is when all the dust settles after this week, when we have President Xi and President Trump's meeting, when we have the Fed and the press conference by Jerome Powell and all these earnings, are we above this level or are we below? All right. What is this going to tell us? Because this should be a monumental level on the markets. All right. Now, listen, there's nothing that says we can't have a bull trap where they get it above a little bit like they're doing now and then they reverse it. But the point is that when you have a parallel and a secondary trend line, the secondary trend line goes back 2 years. The parallel goes back 5+ years. Those are major. It's not a trend line that you connect like yesterday's high to today's high, right? That would be minor, right? You're just connecting 2 days from like the last day, right? When you go in and you're finding levels or trend lines or parallels that connect literally years back, those are behemoths. It would be pretty unusual for the market to just blow right through this level. And with the topping tail on Nvidia, it gets my attention that there could be something of a blow off top that's occurred this week in the markets where we've shot higher, but now we're starting to see the reversal in Nvidia. So stay tuned. I will keep you updated as I always do. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.